Hi, I'm Dennis Weiss. Welcome to our town. We're in the Abilene Public Library and we have a special treat for you. You may or may not know, but if you don't, I'm about to tell you. In Abilene, we are starting a lot of focus on entrepreneurship, small business, the way to grow our town, our community. So I invited a friend of mine who has started a small business and we're going to have a good time talking about it. Welcome, Scott Long. Officially, you're Angelfire Ammunition today, right?
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate that. The focus of growing business in a community our size, it's well known nationally, Scott, that small business people drive about 85% of all the job and economic activity in the country. It's no different here. We look around. But I think what I invited you for is, you started a small business. How'd you do it? How hard was it? How much fun is it? And by sharing that on camera today, we'll help somebody else do the same thing. So first of all, tell us a little bit about Angelfire Ammunition and why did you have the idea to start a little ammunition company?
Angelfire Ammunition is a very small ammunition company. I'm a one-man band. My wife helps me inspect and pack the ammunition, and we have been pretty much word-of-mouth sales, and it's gone very well.
Okay, so we hear a lot about government regulation. I live a lot of government regulation, so I know in Dickinson County, you can't just start an ammunition company out in the backyard without going through some processes with the local government. So you had to work with Dickinson County because you're located in rural Dickinson
Yes.
County. So what board or what process did you have to go through to get a license to open an ammunition company in rural Dickinson County?
Starting out an ammunition company is a lot different than any other business. My wife and I've had this idea for a long time, and my wife encouraged me to jump in and do it. So I did. And the first thing that I did was looked up licensing from the ATF. You have to have a license to manufacture ammunition. I think it's mainly for the excise tax, and they want to know who is building ammunition and selling. Mm-hmm. So I applied for the license, and in that process I found out I needed a zoning code to be approved by the county. And I went through Dustin Parks, who was very helpful, and presented my business plan in a very simplified words to him and the board, and they approved a conditional use permit for ag zoned land. Okay. So I was able to open up my loading business on.
So Dustin Parks works for Dickinson County. He's the planning and zoning director. I
Yes.
think he's probably close to official title. If it's not Dustin, I apologize. But he's the fellow who runs that process through Dickinson County commissioners, and they all have to approve that sort of thing. So would you characterize the process as hard, easy, in the middle?
Frustrating.
Frustrating. Why?
Because the nature of my business, there's a lot of unknowns that you don't find out until halfway through it. And each step you take, you're spending money for licenses or permits. You get to a point where there's no turning back. You dump money in it, and it's like you're moving forwards. And I'm glad it was that way, because it pushed me to see the whole thing through and not to give up. Even to the point of homeowners insurance, I ran into a problem. I have an underwriter in Kansas City that insures my home because of the business on the property, which is situated well away from the house, but it's still on the property. So I had a hard time getting insurance. That was frustrating. I thought I was going to lose my homeowner's insurance, but through persistence and research, it worked.
Okay, you've hit on a couple things that I think are really instructive, and that is persistence, research, and the things you don't know. Any small businessman runs into the same challenges. Most small business startups fail, and there's a reason for that. It's hard to do. Not only is it hard to get through this process, but it's hard to run a small business at a profit so you can sustain business. Not everybody can, not everybody does, but it's very important we have a lot of people try, I think. And I think one of the things here in Abilene that we're so well suited for is the opportunity to grow small business. So having said all that, you know, how you enjoying the ammunition business?
I've been reloading ammunition myself since I was about 16 with my father, and it's always been a hobby. And now that I'm doing it for profit, I really enjoy it. It's more fun now because my equipment is top of the line. You could call them toys. And I really enjoy running that top of the line equipment. I have a love for it.
I'm pretty sure it's not a crime to enjoy what you do.
No,
right?
not at all.
Good. I was hoping that was true. A key to success is often how well you enjoy what you do. I work with a couple of people on the Chamber of Commerce here in Abilene that are small business people that started the exact same way, had an idea, went and did it in an hour growing. I'm confident when I speak to them that the reason they did that is to control their own destiny a little bit, and they wanted to do this. And they didn't particularly want to tie their entire economic outlook to working for somebody else. You have a daytime job, or you have a job in town, as I like to call them, I guess. You have a town job. You work for a major manufacturer over in the Salina area. You've done that for a long time. So this is a supplementary income for you as a person, but for Dickinson County, it's a new entity. It doesn't matter to Dickinson County that you work somewhere else part-time. What matters to Dickinson County is that they have a new business in town that's generating income that flows back into the community. Did you think about it that way before you started your business, or just, I want to go start a business?
I wanted to, I'm 50 years old. I'm looking at the future 15 years down the road. I don't play golf. I do like to fish and hunt, and I like to shoot. And I thought, what a great retirement program to keep me busy from sitting on the couch and watching TV all day. So that's the long range plan. And I've started this out very small. My business plan is to pay the debt off on the business before I grow larger.
Okay.
I'm not ready to make leaps and bounds in growth until that's taken care of. Right now the business takes care of itself, so I'm very happy about that, and I'll take the next step when it comes to, I don't know how to word it, when it comes profitable to expand the business, that's when I'll do it, and that will have to be when it's out of debt.
Now that's great. You know, getting a small business out of debt is the key often to profitability long term. So I applaud you for that. You know, as you went through the process, I remember you talking to me a little bit about it, and one of the things that made a jump forward for you is you worked with an agency that you'll remember who they are, but they provided you not only some advice on how to get this thing going, but a possible financing plan.
Yes.
For small business startups. And in the Abilene Reflector Chronicle, either today or yesterday, was an article that the city of Abilene is looking at doing the same thing for businesses here in Abilene. There are several barriers to startups. One of them is capital. How do you fund a small business? There was a time you could have walked into any bank in the community this size and said, I want to go start an ammunition business. The guy who was making the 100% of the decision would have been across the table from you, and he would have either said yes or no, and it would have been a decision. Banking is very different today. We're very blessed to have some strong community banks in the area where you could probably still talk to the decision maker, but they're few and far between. But having an outside agency that is aggressively looking to grow small business, I think was a part of your initial success, which meant I know I can have a source of capital as I grow. Can you speak to that a little?
Yes, I can. I went to the bank for a loan, and they didn't seem very interested. I don't know if they didn't think I was very serious, or I kind of didn't get a feeling they wanted to talk to me. Well, I went ahead and done a home equity to fund the business, and they called me up probably a month or two into the process. I already had everything set up, ready to go, I believe. It might have been 6 months, I can't remember for sure, but the banker called me. He goes, and he said, there's an organization out of Beloit North Central Kansas
Regional
Planning Commission that has been looking for a new business in the Hope community to give a loan to. And there was a large amount out there. It's a 20-year note with 0% interest. And that contributes to a lot of the success of a small business if you can find that.
I think there's an ongoing pool of that kind of money, but I want to rotate back to your personal persistence and your research efforts. You had put enough feelers out into the community, you've done enough work yourself that somebody then pointed you at North Central Kansas Regional Planning Commission. But they're still there in Beloit. They still do great things, and they probably have a plan for somebody else if they want to go talk to them and investigate that. I think they've done a lot of projects around us, usually with a municipality. I think the sewer ponds over around Detroit are part of their helpful efforts to that community to be able to do that. But you're the only person I know that has used them as a startup small business. But the access to capital and somebody that can advise you in correctly doing that is such a great help to a startup. And you certainly benefited from it. Kept your inventory, allowed you to put inventory in, allowed you to get components, allowed you to build manufactured goods so you have a product to sell.
Yes.
Okay. So as you look forward in Dickinson County, everything's working good for you. You got your permits, business is set up, your homeowner's insurance is intact.
Yes.
Life is going on. What do you see next for you as a small business guy? Living here, doing this in Hope, what do you need to grow your business?
Business.
More business?
And that's happening.
Okay. What sort of marketing efforts? What sort of, you said word of mouth, you're relying 100% on word of mouth? Are you doing some marketing of your product other than that?
I was getting ready to hit the streets with a wholesale list to every place that sells ammunition between here and Salina. I received a phone call a couple of weeks ago from a young man that's going to open a gun shop in Bennington, Kansas.
Okay, that's our market area.
Yes, he came and he wanted specifically locally made ammunition if he could. So he was adamant on stocking my ammunition. And he has got me to the point where he has bought so much ammo, I can't hit the streets until I expand. I'm thinking about buying another machine right now.
Okay.
But I'm going to hold off because I want to see how it goes. My business plan is to take that wholesale list to one distributor at a time, or one business at a time, wait and see what their volume is, what they want, and take it one store at a time, very slowly, because the guy can grow too fast, and sure inventory on the shelf is a loss.
You know, there was a gentleman who used to live in Minneapolis. I won't use his name on TV, but he was an old business guy up there for a long, long time. And his standard advice was, you know, before you can have a good customer, you first have to have a customer. What it says is, I have to acquire somebody who wants to buy my product, and then our relationship has to grow together. So for a one-man shop whose inventory and supply is also equal to his ability to sell product, you have to be able to ensure both grow together. I can get a bunch of buyers, but if I can't supply them, then that's bad. Or I have a bunch of supply, but I can't find any buyers. That's bad. Both ends of the spectrum, both supply and demand, have to grow together for a small business guy, and it's very critical. I think you're a great example of that. Okay, now, I know you work a lot. I don't know a small business guy that doesn't work a lot. You go to your shop and you crank out ammunition and you deliver it and you run that small business after you do your full-time job. You have said that you're enjoying it and loving it. So how does that work for you as a person? Has it been good for Scott Long to have a small business as a person?
Yes. It's been good as in I've learned to prioritize, and I'm still learning to say when to slow down. Don't let that bother you. Take a day off. Pay attention to your wife because it is consuming. When I sit out on a task, I have tunnel vision and I have a hard time with that. And I've learned how to change that tunnel vision. You ask my wife, if she gives me a project, I'm dead on it until it's done. And that's all it is. That's all that life is that project until that project is done. And I've learned how to balance life better through this.
You're very good help on projects too. I can personally attest to that. If you need help in something done, there's no better selection than Scott. Okay, so we got about 3 minutes left, so we're about done. I think of the future of Dickinson County and Abilene, and I work on this a lot locally. It's part of my job for Eagle, but it's also part of my personal passion is to talk about business, and we use this camera to do that. It's the reason you're here. Hopefully I can put more entrepreneurs in that chair and have more conversations because it's incredibly important for tomorrow. As we look at the city of Abilene trying to grow, there's several models on economic growth. I guess you can go fish for whales or hunt for whales, or you can live on brook trout. I think towns, communities our size have to have a plan to live on brook trout. We'll catch a lot of the small ones. And the best way of catching small ones is to encourage people like you to do what you do by getting out of the way. You said Dickinson County went well for you. Dustin Parks was very helpful to you to get this process going. So evidently we're doing a good job of getting out of the way, but it's still frustrating. It still was a hard process for you to go through all of these hoops to get there. I know the city and the county both are working to make those processes better. That better doesn't always mean easier. So as we look out into the TV and the folks sitting out there thinking about a small business, I don't think we can promise them easy, can we?
Not easy, but rewarding.
But can be done.
Yes.
All right. So not easy, but can be done. Financially rewarding as your success grows, but personally rewarding. That's why people do business. That's why people do any job, we hope anyway, that if they find reward in it, that they find good in it. We were created to work, and working for yourself is a good thing. Agree?
Agree, and when a customer comes in and says how pleased they are with your product, that is the ultimate profit right there, is people being happy with your product.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to get a hold of Angelfire Ammunition, how would they do that?
Call me on the phone at 785-479-2014, and I will set you up.
479-2014. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Your own phone number. It's hard to remember. I'm not sure I can tell you what mine is. Well, Scott, I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate what you've done for our county and for our community by taking the risk as a small business guy and going out and creating a successful business. It's a diverse business for our area. There aren't too many of these around our area, but there's a lot of demand. There's a lot of people who use your product. I'm very glad you took the risk to do it, and thank you for coming and sitting in front of the camera with me today. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank Eagle.
You're welcome. Folks, for Eagle Communications, our town, Scott Long, Angelfire Ammunition, I'm Dennis Weiss. Have a great day.